Christmas Dessert Murder is books 20 and 23 of the Hannah Swensen series combined. Now I feel justified for complaining those were half-length books, and it was a rip-off for the series to treat them like full-size novels when they aren't. This is proof I was right. If you put them together, they're about the same size and length of a typical book in the series. Actually, somewhat longer than that. It's 400 pages. Longer than the usual 350, but not so much longer that it counts as a double-length collection. These two books work well together because they're both Christmas-themed stories that take place in the vague past, instead of following the timeline of the series. Arguably, books 23 and 26 would have worked better because they are both stories that take place before the start of the series. I gave these books a 7 and a 3, so my score for this collection is a 5 out of 10. The rest of the video will be my reviews for the two books of this collection. Enjoy! This is a small book. I mean that literally. Here it is next to the previous book in the series. When I open them up, I see they have the same font size. My guess is that they shrunk the pages to make this book seem a little larger. If they had stayed with the usual page size, this book would be under 200 pages.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
This book takes place during Christmas of last year, which I believe is book 12. It's hard to tell because Hannah has the new phone she got in book 18. So either her phone time traveled, or there was a 1-year gap somewhere in the last two books. Lisa's husband, Herb, is Santa Claus in the town play this year. Lisa is hoping she gets the role of Mrs. Claus. The play is A Christmas Carol, and they've already been rehearsing for weeks. I don't know what's weirder, having Santa Claus in A Christmas Carol, or a play doing rehearsals before casting all the roles. Mayor Bascombe steps in at the last minute and gives the role to his latest mistress, Phyllis Bates. This is extra sad for Lisa because Phyllis dated Herb in high school. Lisa doesn't want her husband to be anywhere near Phyllis. Even worse, Herb leaves the house every night and doesn't come back until after 10. Lisa checked and he's not going into work. She doesn't know where he's going. She's worried he has a secret girlfriend. There's an easy solution to Lisa's problems. She can try talking to her husband. I wonder why she never thinks of that. The love drama intensifies during the next play rehearsal. Phyllis puts on the skimpiest, sexiest Santa Claus costume she can find. Instead of doing a stage kiss with Herb, like she's supposed to, Phyllis starts openly making out with him. This'll be one Christmas play the kids will never forget. Even though it's 9 o'clock, Lisa and Hannah go out for burgers. Hannah chats with Bonnie Surma at the bar. Bonnie drinks a lot of beer and dishes gossip about the play. When leaving, Hannah sees red fabric in the snow. She follows it to find Phyllis's dead body. Phyllis died while eating Christmas caramels. The caramels were in Herb's lunch bag, which causes even more love drama, and I don't remember if it was ever resolved. I think we're supposed to guess Phyllis stole Herb's bag at some point. Hannah goes home to her sister Michelle, and they decide to cook a big meal, even though it's after 10 and Hannah just ate a big meal. As usual, they share the meal with Mike, who comes over to interview Hannah about finding the body. Hannah must have had too much food today, because that night she dreams about her dead father. He appears in her room and claims he's the ghost of Christmas past. He's come to help solve the murder mystery. Wow, thanks, Dad. Dad points out the distinct footprints that Bonnie left at her bar stool. Hannah's confused by this. The murderer vision shows Bonnie? Why? Well, obviously it's because Bonnie is the killer. Come on, Hannah. Bonnie, murderer vision? Bonnie's got to be the murderer. Put 2 and 2 together. Hannah makes a list of 4 suspects. Lisa, Herb, the mayor, and the mayor's wife. That's the problem with doing a flashback book like this. All 4 of them were at Hannah's wedding in the previous book. We know they weren't arrested for murder last year. They have to be innocent. The investigation is far less interesting when we know ahead of time all the suspects are innocent. The mayor comes to give Lisa the job of Mrs. Claus in the town play. Both Hannah and Lisa ignore this great opportunity to question one of their prime suspects. Instead, Hannah wastes time talking to Norman about watching old movies in his house. Hannah and Lisa spy on the mayor's wife when she tries on new clothes. She does an excessive amount of talking about her actions last night. Her alibi is Danielle Watson from books 1 and 2. Danielle says it's not a perfect alibi. There is an hour when the mayor's wife was alone. Norman gets an alibi for Lisa, while Mike gets an alibi for Herb. Mike says he's got a clever way to search the mayor's car without raising any suspicions. How? I don't know. I don't think the book ever comes back to this point. Since it is a short book, the mandatory cat subplot is limited to one scene, where Moish the cat waves at Hannah through the window. Her father returns as the ghost of Christmas present. He shows her what's going to happen tomorrow, which is technically the future, not the present. Dad says Hannah will identify the culprit after talking to Danielle again. Hannah goes back to Danielle. Danielle starts a long conversation about Bonnie Sutra and her strong motive for killing the victim. Bonnie always thought of Phyllis as the daughter she never had, and she was murderously disappointed over Phyllis's disgraceful behavior. Hannah decides to visit Bonnie by herself, because when has anything bad ever happened when Hannah goes alone to confront a suspected murderer at the end of a book? Bonnie's terribly sick after getting snow in her boots during the murder. She is too drugged out to realize what day it is or what she's saying. So Bonnie easily confesses to the murder. She pulls out a gun and says she'll kill Hannah too, but Hannah escapes by offering to heat up some soup in the kitchen. As I said, Bonnie is too drugged out to know what's happening, so she accepts Hannah's offer. "Oh, soup sounds good to me. I'll kill you later." There's a really tragic ending where Bonnie's husband Gil comes in. He and his wife struggle over the gun, which ends when he shoots her. Hannah's father returns for the last time as the ghost of Christmas future. He shows Hannah what her Christmas presents will be. "Geez, Dad, way to ruin the surprise." He also shows her that Herb was not cheating on Lisa. He was working to get her a new car for Christmas. The end. Post-book follow-up. Call me a sucker, but I like the stuff with Hannah's dad. It was sweet. It was also weird and doesn't fit the series to have actual ghosts, but it was still sweet to see him for the first time. Since this book takes place in the past, it means Hannah is not married to Ross. Isn't it weird that Hannah's big wedding book is immediately followed by a book where she's single? It's almost like the author is trying to backtrack on Hannah's marriage. Unless I'm wrong, this is the first time the culprit is not a character who's new to the book. Bonnie and her husband are fairly minor characters from earlier books. The last time Bonnie appeared was book 14. It's interesting the culprit is a character some readers will recognize. I personally didn't recognize her, but I did recognize her husband's name. Overall, I thought the book was fine. It makes for a short, comfortable read. I wouldn't have released it as a full book. I would have released this as a novella. I also would have played up the "this book takes place in the past" angle a bit more. Besides for Hannah's husband not being around, there's nothing to indicate that this book was set long before the last few ones. I give Hannah Swensen number 20, Christmas Caramel Murder, a 7 out of 10. Like book 20, this is a half-length Christmas book with small pages. This is the second prequel novel since Hannah got married. I'm not a fan of Hannah's marriage drama, but I would like to see it get resolved before the series moves on to other stuff.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
The book takes place shortly after the death of Hannah's father. Mother spends all of her time crying in her bedroom. Instead of acting like adults and talking to Mom about her grief, the Swensen sisters decide they want to distract Mom with a project. The writing style in this book annoys me. The characters constantly repeat themselves, and we see that here at the start. Hannah makes a list of all the attempts they've made to distract Mom. Then 2 visitors come by, and Hannah repeats the list of every single attempt to distract Mom, only she is constantly interrupted with unnecessary questions and comments, like, "Your mother enjoys cookies, so it takes twice as long." The visitors say an older woman named Essie recently broke her hip. Essie lives in the second floor of an abandoned hotel with no electricity or running water. The group goes upstairs to Hannah's mother, where they repeat the story about Essie. Mother agrees to make Essie happy by hosting a Christmas ball, complete with a cake parade. "Mother, if you want to help Essie, maybe you should start by finding her a place to live with electricity. She'd probably appreciate not freezing to death a whole lot more than a Christmas party." Michelle comes home, and Hannah spends 2 pages recapping the previous chapters. So there's 3 chapters in a row where the characters tell the exact same story about Essie in the hospital. It's 3 times in a row! I would complain about this more, but unlike the characters in this book, I don't want to repeat myself for no reason. Hannah and Mother go to Essie's room, where they find a hibiscus handbag and several journals. Hannah has no sense of privacy, so she reads Essie's private journals out loud to everyone. The journals tell the story of a pregnant woman named Sharon. She and her husband Tony are trying to escape from gangsters in New York. Tony's killed, while Sharon escapes with a bunch of jewels. With the help of a friendly doctor, Sharon starts a new life in Minnesota under a fake name. Hannah's friends think that's a very interesting fictional story. I have to admit, they're right. Sharon's story is the best part of the book. It's got some tension and suspense, and best of all, it stays focused on the story, instead of going on long digressions about food. Hannah is 1 year away from getting her doctorate in English. Michelle asks Hannah if she's going to go back to college now that Mom's back to normal. On the spot, Hannah decides, no, she doesn't want to teach anymore. Just like that, Hannah throws out 6 years of college tuition. What a colossal waste of money. Don't worry about Hannah's finances, though. Mother reveals Lars was a stock market magician who secretly accumulated enough wealth to pay for over 20 years of college. I find it highly unlikely that a hardware store owner in a small town could be a secret millionaire, but it sure is convenient that Hannah and her family will never have to worry about money again. This section of the book has one scene that multiple reviewers made fun of. Hannah spends a page describing how to flip a light switch. No joke, she could have said, flip the switch up, but no, she figures Lisa needs far more detailed instructions than that. Hannah isn't sure what to do with her life now. She likes baking and, well, that's about it. Mother steps in and takes over Hannah's life. She takes Hannah to a local bakery and she pays for the rental. She takes Hannah to the car lot and buys Hannah a van. She takes Hannah to a condo complex where she buys Hannah a condo. Mother insists that Hannah gets to choose the condo because she would never buy someone a condo without asking them first. That'd be like buying someone a purse without asking them first. Can you imagine? This is coming from the woman who just bought her daughter a car without asking. I don't know why Mother thinks it's worse to buy somebody a purse than a car. Hannah loves the condo. She tries out all her new baking equipment, and Andrea briefly appears when decorating the ballroom. I don't know why this book ignores Andrea. In book 1, Andrea and Hannah are best friends who always hang out together. You would never guess that based on this book, which allegedly occurs right before book 1. A mystery man appears at the Christmas ball. He says he's finally found Sharon, and he shoots Essie twice. Hannah throws bundt cakes at this mystery man until he surrenders to the police. I should note this is page 234. That's how long the book waits before getting to the murder part. And it's not murder Because Essie lives, she's not injured. They should retitle this book Christmas Cake Attempted Murder at the very end. Also, this is the first time we've seen Essie. It's 87% of the way through the book. I feel safe in saying the mystery is more of an afterthought than anything else. The attempted murderer called Essie Sharon, and Essie's story was about Sharon hiding in town under a false name. It takes Hannah longer than it should before she realizes Essie is Sharon! In fact, Hannah doesn't figure it out until she's told that Essie's hibiscus handbag is really a rose of Sharon. Now that Essie's secret has been revealed, she is reunited with her daughter, they sell her jewels for lots of money, and they live happily ever after. The end. Post-book follow-up. It's never explained how the gangsters managed to track Essie down after all these years. Nobody takes any steps to prevent the gangsters from finding her again. And I want to know why she spent years living in an abandoned hotel with no electricity or running water when she had a fortune in jewels on her person the entire time. Most of the book was Hannah starting her bakery. That could have been a good story, but I don't like how it's portrayed as a decision Hannah makes off the top of her head. It would have been better if it was a decision she had put a lot of thought into. Instead, Mom takes care of everything while Hannah does nothing. The book skips over the opening day of the bakery, which seems like a really big thing to leave out. It also skips over the part where Hannah names her bakery. In one chapter, she thinks of it as the bakery. In the next, she thinks of it as the cookie jar. Where did that name come from? This book is abysmal as a mystery, but as an origin story for Hannah and her bakery, it's okay. It could have been a lot better. Imagine the family having a serious conversation about their dead father instead of having pointless and unrealistic conversations that add nothing of value to the story. Call me crazy, but I think a half-length book like this should have had half the filler. Also, I think this book should have been marketed as a half-length prequel, instead of being treated like a regular book in the series, which it clearly isn't. I give Hannah Swensen number 23, Christmas Cake Murder, a 3 out of 10.